call Allah Yahawah, Bahashem Yahawah Shai, Bahashem Rakah Kwadash. This is the brother Micah Ah, and today I want to do a lesson bringing out some information on the nature of Esau Edom and how his days are determined by Yahawah Bahashem Yahawah Shai. So the name of this lesson is probably going to be called Beyond One's Control. I want to go into several precepts about how things that happen on earth are beyond the control of mere men. You know, that we're all puppets on the string in a sense, and that we all belong and we all do the will of Yahawah Bahashem Yahawah Shai, right? I want to start off with Job 14:5. It says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, with Yahawah Bahashem Yahawah Shai. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. And this is, we're talking about Esau Edom, using this scripture for modern times to bring out the idea that Esau Edom, who's the current ruler of this world, that his days are determined. The number of his months are with Yahawah Bahashem Yahawah Shai, how long he's going to be allowed to rule. And that thou hast appointed bounds that he cannot pass. So as he's trying to build his new world order and trying to get things popping, you know, trying to complete his vision of world domination and bringing in a satanic society that he's going to rule over, right? But he's only going to be able to go so far up, you know, up the ladder towards that goal that ultimately he's not going to accomplish. Let's see here. Job 14, I'm going to start with verse 19. It says, the waters wear the stones. Thou washest away the things which grow out of the dust of the earth, and thou destroyest the hope of man. Thou prevailest forever against him, and he passeth. Thou changest his countenance, and sendest him away. His sons come to honor, and he knoweth it not, and they are brought low, but he perceiveth it not of him. You see, the Most High is the one that determines the circumstances and the factors. You know, a constant would be water washing over a stone. What does that water do? It's gradual, through gradualization, it's wearing that stone down. You know, the Most High destroyeth the hope of man. You know, the Most High changes your circumstances. The things that you thought you were going to do, you end up not being able to do those things, because the Most High is the one that controls the circumstances of life. You know, thou prevailest forever against him. So the Most High is always in control of his creation. He's the one that causes man to pass away. You know, he's the one that changes the direction and the course of a man's life. You know, if his sons come to honor, he knoweth it not. Why? Because the Most High was the one that caused him to die sooner, so that he didn't get a chance to see his sons come to honor. Well, listen, if his sons are brought low and that ends up being their lot in life, he perceiveth it not. Why? Because the Most High determined his days already, as we read in Job 14:5, right? The number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. And that goes for everybody. But specifically, we're talking about Esau Edom in that sense. Here's another scripture that goes into the principle that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, and there is no escape. That your day-to-day, even your day-to-day life, is controlled by the Lord, Yahawah Bahashem Yahawah Shai. This is Job 33:15. It says, in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, and slumberings upon their bed, then he, who, Yahawah Bahashem Yahawah Shai, openeth the ears of men, and sealeth their instruction, their day-to-day, what they're going to do from day to day, right? That he may withdraw man from his purpose, and hide pride from man. So the Most High does it in such a way to where, you know, mankind can't say, well, I'm the one that come up with this idea. I'm the one that decided this is how my day was going to go today, right? Because see, when we have good days and it just seems like everything's clicking, right? If you are allowed to think that thought the day before or in your dream, you would think that you're the one that planned it. You may start to think that you're the one that planned it. Verse 18, he keepeth back his soul from the pit and his life from perishing by the sword. So listen, the circumstances that we fall in, you know, you left the house 5, 7, 8 minutes later than you wanted to, but in doing so, you just prevented yourself from getting into a major car collision through an intersection that you normally go through, right? Everyday things that happen to us. There's times when you may have escaped a deadly situation and not even known about it, because all those circumstances are controlled by the Lord. Some of the circumstances we can see, but then there's certain circumstances that we can't see. But the Most High is protecting us all and deciding the severity, you know, of the circumstances that we fall into, how things actually end up playing out. Sirach 10 and 4, again, going into the idea that, you know, things are beyond our control, in the sense that we're all going to do the will of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahushai, that he rules in the kingdom of men. Sirach 10 and 4 says, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set up over it one that is profitable. You know, the power of the earth, the power of it, right, is in the hand of the Lord. So when he decides, then this person is going to rule. When the time comes, then the next kingdom's up, you know. And eventually, like the scripture is saying, in due time, he will set up over one that is profitable, knowing that means that, you know, the righteous kingdom is going to come in. We're going to receive the second covenant. We're going to receive the rewards for our diligence, for our participation in this ministry that the Most High has given us. And it's only unto the elect, the hopeful elect on this side, and Lord willing, I'll be a part of that number. Let me go to my next verse here. I got Proverbs 16 and 4. The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. So there's a day that's coming that the wicked were created for specifically for this day, right? And they didn't have no part in that decision at all, because it says Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahushai hath made all things for himself. See, all things, that's everything, all creation. Romans 8 and 20, for the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope. Right? So we were made subject unto vanity. We were made to go through this life and experience good and evil. Right? The experience of good and evil. Being abased and being abound. We had to go through that experience. Right? We didn't have any decision in it. It was just the way the Most High set things up. Why? Because these are some of the things that are beyond our control. The creature was subjected to vanity. We didn't decide this. The Most High is the one that made this decision. And we're all a part of this life experience. Right? Isaiah 45 and 7, it says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahushai, do all of these things. All these things, excuse me. See? The light and the darkness, good and evil. The Most High controls both sides. Here we go again with Sirach or Ecclesiastes 18. We're going to start with verse 1. It says, he that liveth forever hath created all things in general. See, all things beyond one's control. The Lord only is righteous, and and there is none other but he, who governeth the world with the palm of his hand, and all things obey his will. All things obey his will. For he is the King of all, and by his power dividing holy things among them from profane. Right? And that's an interesting word, profane. I want to take a moment to go into the definition of that word profane. Let me see here. Or actually, let's get the scripture. That's what I wanted to get. I wanted to get the scripture on who is the profane, right? Because the Bible tells us who it is, and it's in Hebrew 12 and 16. It says, lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. And we know the Edomites, the so-called Cajuns, are the progenitors. They are the children of Esau. They're the seed of Esau, right? So they are the profane on the earth, as their forefather Esau was profane, right? That's their nature, they're just profane, and there's no way to get around it. If you look at their history and all that they've done throughout their history, it's all been things that have been the opposite of doing the right thing, right? So profane, it says, relating or devoted to that which is not sacred or biblical, secular, of this world, worldly, right? Rather than what the world would call religious, of a biblical inspiration, right? So get some adjectives. One is worldly, ungodly, right? Disrespectful, unbelieving, a scoffer, godless, right? And what's the whole point of bringing out adjectives? Adjectives are good in bringing more understanding to different words that we use that would bring out the understanding, right? And that's the whole point, is to make the vision plain. An adjective is a word that modifies or describes a noun or a pronoun. Now we know a noun is a person, a place, or a thing. It's a word that describes a person, a place, or a thing. An adjective can be used to describe the qualities of a noun, of a person, a place, or a thing, of someone or something independently or in a comparison to something else. Now the scriptures are written in parabolic, symbolic, and allegorical form, and it's not always clear specifically what it's saying, and that's when you have to have the spirit, you have to have the Ruach HaKodesh to break these things down, right? And adjectives at times can help bring out the understanding, right? So that's why we go into adjectives. Habakkuk 2:2 says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision down and make it plain upon tables. Why? That he may run that readeth it. So that the understanding can be understood and brought out, so that the next hopeful elect can process the information, understand the information, and go forth and bring it out. Read it, explain it on the street corners, in our lessons, in the highways and byways, right? The gospel is being preached, and then brothers are doing lessons, right? They're reading the vision, and because it's been made plain to them, right, through the Ruach HaKodesh. And so we like to get into breaking down words that help describe the qualities of what the scriptures are trying to say, right? The allegorical, the parabolic, scriptures. The next thing I want to go to after Habakkuk 2 is I want to highlight one of the adjectives in in the word profane, and it's ungodly. Ungodly is irreligious or immoral. Ungodly lives of self-obsession, lust, and pleasure. So an ungodly person, an immoral person, is a person who is in love with their five physical senses, right? They want to experience life solely through the carnality, through the flesh, right? And that's all that they're about. Let me get something here. Now this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, and this is a great chapter that really goes into the mindset of Esau, Edom, the wicked, right? The way that they actually think about things. So we were brought up that adjective about ungodly, and then right away in chapter 2 of Wisdom of Solomon, the first verse, it says, "For the ungodly said, reasoning within themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave." This is the way the Edomites think, right? Obviously, they have a reason, not a right, because we know that's not true. We know that a man will come back in his third or fourth generation, right? It's called regeneration in the Bible, and in modern terms, we use the word reincarnation, right? So that you're a spirit that keeps coming back in your family line when the Most High brings your spirit back, and it's usually in the third or fourth generation, right? Now I want to go down to 9 from there. And verse 9 says, let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of joyfulness in every place. For this is our portion, and our lot is this. And I want to highlight this word voluptuousness real quick. And I'm going to come back to Wisdom of Solomon. But I want to highlight this word because this word is important to understand the nature and character of Esau, Edom. Voluptuousness as a noun refers to the quality of being sensually pleasing, luxurious, characterized by fullness and beauty of form, often with a strong sexual connotation. And when we're talking about Esau, Edom, we're talking about something sexually perverted, right? Something deviant. Because that's the only type of sex that this devil is into, especially the elites. They always twist everything that's natural. You're right. The Most High says that you're supposed to go into a woman's, uterus, but then this devil will say, no, well, you can go into the anus, and then he promotes these things on the earth, right? And all kinds of other depravity, sexual depravity, right? I want to go back to Wisdom in Solomon. Now, verse 10 says, "Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age." So, this devil is not merciful at all. And he didn't have any mercy on us at all. He oppressed the oldest amongst us with gray hair. He didn't spare the woman. He didn't spare us at all in any way, shape, or form. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing, right? So the law that he creates and makes up, because he's a liar, right? But the laws that he makes up and creates, that's his strength. The laws that he passes. For that which is feeble is found to be nothing of worth, right? And he can get away with it, right? Because we're in captivity underneath him, and he has the advantage, right? So we're in a low state. We're not in our full strength. We're not in our right minds. So in our captivity, we are feeble, something not to be respected, something that doesn't have the power to get respect, right? So Esau can make up stuff and let that be the strength. His strength is the law of justice that he makes up. He's not going to keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. He's going to twist those things, and he's going to make up his own laws, and that's going to be his strength. And he's not going to give a damn about bringing injustice unto the Israelites, or whoever he's bringing injustice to. Why? Because he has the advantage. He's in his kingdom, and he has the power right now. Verse 12, therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn. See, this devil knows that we're not like him, and he is clean contrary to our doings, which means we have a desire as the Israelites to do righteousness, which is the opposite of what the wicked want to do, what they want to establish on the earth. The vibration that they want pushed is wickedness, and they know that we're not going to go along with it. So what do? They set traps for us. They're always hunting our steps, right? They're always seeking to kill us and slay us and put us in bad situations, cause us to have an evil time, right? To have a bad time, which is what the word evil means. Because he knows we're not going to go along with his bullshit. Not the elect of Israel. Now the 2/3, that's one thing. But in order for him to complete his plan, he thinks he's going to have to just be able to manipulate and deceive everybody, which that's not going to happen. He upbraideth us with our offending the law. That's right. We're on your back. We're on your motherfucking case, devil. Telling you you're wrong, calling you out for your bullshit. And object to our infamy, the transgressings of our education. Now I want to get this word infamy, right? Because it's about this devil in a sense is famous and has a reputation that precedes him, right? Infamy, the definition of that is the state of being well known for some bad quality or deed. So you're well known for the bad shit that you do, an evil or wicked act. You're known throughout one of history's greatest infamies, right? You are the infamous one, Esau, Edom. And all throughout your history, you have done nothing but wickedness, right? So that's your reputation, and it's been exposed now, especially in modern times. You have been exposed as the wicked for sure. And you're infamy. You're infamous for your doings, devil. That's right. And we object to the transgressions of your education. That's right. The shit that you teach in this modern day society is nothing but a bunch of BS. It's a bunch of lies. It's a bunch of half-truths. You twisting stuff, man. And we're calling you out on that bullshit. We're calling out Christianity. We're calling out all these dumbass religions, that take our scriptures, take our records, and then you devils, you make religions out of them, And then you push that wine upon all the people. The transgressings of your education. Yeah, you are the ultimate fucking transgressor. You are the ultimate violator. You are in violation of all things righteous. And that's what you push in your evil, wicked society. That's what you push in Babylon. Verse 13. He professes to have the knowledge of the power. That's right. And he calleth himself the children of the Lord. That's right. See, the devil knows this. He says we profess to have the knowledge of the power. That's right. Because that's who we are. That's what we've been created to do, right? And that's beyond your damn control. See, you didn't have nothing to say about that. The Most High is the one that set this up. He was made, verse 14, he was made to reprove our thoughts. Who made everything, man? The Most High. We just read that in Sirach 18, right? He that liveth forever hath created all things in general. Hey, he was made to reprove our thoughts. That's right. The righteous were made to reprove your thoughts, devil. And that's what we do. And we're not going to let up. And we know that you're not going to let up, devil. You're going to be the wicked. We're going to be the righteous. And that's what it's going to be, man. And we're just going to go to war. And we're going to win. And the Most High is going to come back and settle the matter. And that's going to be the end of you goddamn devils. Verse 15. He is grievous unto us even to behold. For his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion. That's right, devil. You are not going to manipulate us. We're not going to go along with your plan. We're not going along with the New World Order. We're not going along with the ways of the heathen. To hell with you people, man. We're going to follow the Lord. We're going to follow the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability. We're going to rehearse the righteous acts. We're going to push this truth, you know, and we're going to keep our head down, man, and we're going to wait for the Most High to come back and set up a righteous kingdom. But you damn right, we're not going along with you. And so in the devil's kingdom, in Esau's kingdom, that's a grievous thing to him. You know, when they see the men of the Lord on the street corners preaching this gospel, it reminds them that their time is almost up, you know, and they would like for us to push bullshit, you know, like some of these other camps do, who have sold and bought out. But the men of the Lord, the righteous 1/3, the house of David, is not going to sell out, man. And so that fact is grievous to the elites, huh? It's grievous even to the common day Edomite that this might be happening to walk by that way when the prophets are out on the street corners. And every time he walks past, he sees these men consistently pushing the truth. And he hears what they're saying, right? And in the back of his mind, he knows it's the truth. He believes it. It makes sense to him. And that grieves him. Why? Because they want the vibration of wickedness to persist in this kingdom. And the men of the Lord pushing this truth is a constant reminder that your time is almost up, devil. Verse 16, we are esteemed of him as counterfeits. That's right. You are fucking liars, man. He abstained from our ways as from filthiness. That's right. We are vexed. We are vexed by the idea of doing wickedness, man. You see? We abstain from our ways. He abstained from our ways as from filthiness. As if you were walking and there was a puddle of mud and you make sure you get all the way out of the way, right? Because you don't want that, your shoes clean. You don't want your foot to step into that and then it get your foot dirty and then it splash up on your clothes on top of it. No, right? He pronounces the end of the just to be blessed. Right. Even though we're going through all this hell, we have not lost our faith and our confidence in what the scriptures say. That we are going to prevail against you, devil. Huh? For hell should not prevail against the church. Paraphrasing that scripture. Hell is oppression. The conditions that you put us in. Huh? It's not gonna matter. You're not going to overthrow our faith. So what do? We pronounce that the end of the just to be blessed and maketh his boast that the power of heaven and earth is our Father, right? That he's for us ultimately, even though he put us in these conditions, not to destroy us, but for a time, huh? That ultimately the Lord is going to get us out of the situation, that he's going to redeem us, that he's going to take down the wicked, that he's going to set up the house of David, and there's going to be a righteous kingdom ruling on the planet. These are things that are beyond Satan's control. And Satan being on the earth, that would be Esau, Edom, right? The devil himself, the deceiver. Verse 17 says, let us see if his words be true, and let us prove what shall happen in the end of him, right? So we're constantly put in straits in this kingdom. You know, we're being watched. Our enemies are looking to set us up. They're looking to take advantage of the mistakes that we might make. Why? Because they want us to quit. Satan wants us to quit. He wants us to get offended, right? By the things that the Most High puts us through, that we're going to quit. So what do they set up to do? Let us prove what shall happen to him in the end, right? So we're going to be put in situations and circumstances that we're going to have to overcome, and we're going to have to keep our faith. And not quit, not get offended, not say the wrong thing and do the wrong thing, not become emotional. Verse 18, for if the just man be the son of the power, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. So the Edomites know that the Most High is about helping his people. He's about helping the just. That means that they know that the Most High is a righteous power, that he's not for them. They're wicked, but that the Most High is for the just. And so the Most High will help the just and deliver the just from the hand of his enemies. So they seek to prove our faith by putting us in these different situations, you know. And we're getting ready to we're going through tests now. We're going to be going into some real tests as we get deeper into the time of Jacob's trouble, as we get closer to the MOTB being implemented, right? As we get closer to the shutdown of this current economy so that they can bring in a digital society, right? We're going to find ourselves in straits, and we're going to have to rely on our faith. For wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time, and the strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure, right? Verse 19, let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. See? So these devils, they are so envious and so upset and so mad about the fact that they can't terraform us, our minds, and get us to vibrate and to go along with their fucking bullshit, right? That they have come with great spitefulness and torture, to see if even in the face of pain and suffering, if we would keep our meekness, right? Keep our sincerity, be patient in that situation, and wait for the Lord to bring us out of that situation. Even if that means death, crossing over into the spirit world. Keep your character, keep your character, keep your sincerity, keep your faith. And that's what this devil is all about trying to do to us, because he knows that we are not for his turn. Verse 20, let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. That's right. That's right, devil. We are going to be respected. We are going to receive the second covenant. We are going to receive the promises. We are going to receive our crowns, right? If we maintain our integrity even unto death. We believe this, devil. Verse 21, such things did imagine, and were deceived, for their own wickedness hath blinded them, beyond their control. They were created wicked, and they were created to think all these things that they think. Some of these things are right, but then some of these things are wrong, right? Reasoning within themselves, but not aright. He was made to reprove our thoughts. That's right. You got that right, devil. There is a righteous, there is a lineage of people that came through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the 12 tribes, the sons of Jacob, are the progenitors of the 12 tribes of Israel, right, that make up the nation of Yahawah. Yeah, that's a real thing, devil. And we're not for your turn. The hopeful elect, the 1/3 amongst the nation of Israel, that is, on this side are going to receive the promises. We're going to hold out. We're not going to adhere to your doctrines. We're not going to drink your wine, devil. We're going to tell you to go fuck yourself. Okay? Verse 22, and I want to end it on this one, in this particular chapter. I want to not end the lesson, but as for the mysteries of the power, they knew them not, neither hoped they for the wages of righteousness, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls. Well, they can't, because they're the wicked. They don't have the understanding, right? Because they're carnal, and the scriptures have to be spiritually understood, which means you have to have the Spirit to reveal these things to you. And the Edomites were not given. That's not their lot. That's not their portion, right? To understand the mysteries, right? From there, I want to go to I want to go to 1 Corinthians 2, 7 and 8. It says, for we speak wisdom, we speak the wisdom of the power in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom which God ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew. It was beyond their control. For had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory, right? So the Romans would not have crucified Yahawah, that it had they known that by doing that they were actually fulfilling prophecy and setting that seed up to be redeemed in the future, to receive the covenants, the blessings, the right to rule on this planet, the right to have Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahushai as our Father and our power, right? Had they known that that was what they were doing by crucifying Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahushai, they wouldn't have done that, you know? I want to get something here. What did I brought out some definitions here, I think. Let me see, or maybe I did. No, okay. Hold on 1 second here. Let me get my point again. Okay. So from there, I want to go to, let's read Psalms 50 and 16. It says, but unto the wicked the power saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instruction, and castest my words behind thee. You see? So this devil, the wicked, they were not set up to declare righteous statutes or to break down the covenant, you know, to understand the scriptures in their parabolic, symbolic, and allegorical forms. They were not going to be able to bring the understanding out, right? Because they hate instruction, because they are the opposite of righteousness. You know, they go along with what a thief does. Verse 18, when thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him. You set him up. You know, you want to set that up in your society, you know, and has been partaker with adulterers. You know, thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth mischief. That's what this devil's about. That's his programming. That's his nature. Thou givest thy mouth to evil. You know, thou speakest lies. The wine of Babylon is nothing but lies and deceit, and that they're ways that are going to lead to your death, right? Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother Jacob, right? That's who this is talking about. Thou slanderest thy own mother's son. You know, Rebekah was the mother of Jacob and Esau, and Esau has sought to kill us, you know, because he lost his blessing, but actually he sold his birthright, you know, and then the Most High set him up to be usurped or tricked out of his blessing. These things hast thou done, and I kept silent, that thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. You know, the Most High is getting ready to turn this devil back from what he wants to do, you know. And he has set us in order before the eyes of all to see, you know, that the men of the Lord are on the street corners preaching the truth, preaching the downfall of Babylon, preaching repentance to the bloodline descendants of Israel, you know, waking up the elect. That would be the house of David, the 1/3 amongst Israel. He would set them in order before their eyes. Let me see here. We already read that, so now I want to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and 15. That which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered. So, the Most High is the one that made everything, right? So when he makes something crooked, it doesn't have the ability to do the right thing. It's not going to go straight. It's always going to be crooked. Can a leopard change its spots? No. Can he that is accustomed to evil do good? No. And that which is wanting cannot be numbered, right? And Esau, you have been weighed in the balance and found wanting. Daniel 5:27. This is what tekel means. Thou art weighed in the balances and are found wanting, right? So in other words, devil, you are imbalanced. You don't have the proper balance, right? You don't have entrance into the kingdom, right? You are profane and outside of the temple, right? The righteousness is not for you. You don't produce righteousness. You produce wickedness. And these are things that were always beyond your control, because in a general sense, right, the Most High created all things for his purpose. He that liveth forever hath created all things in general. See? So you have been created to be the way that you are, devil, and there ain't no way for you to get out of it. Right? It's beyond your control. An adjective, I want to go into this adjective, and it's off of the word ungodly, right? Let me get back over here. Infernal. Where am I at here? Salakia, just give me a second to get my thoughts together here, because I had a lot of notes written down here from my lesson. Let's see here. Yeah, so infernal is an adjective of the word ungodly, right? And it says relating to or characteristics of hell or the underworld. Hellish, as in hellish conditions. Not hell under the earth, that's some Christianity BS. But, infernal, I got my notes written down here. The second definition for infernal would be irritating or tiresome, right? And that's the energy that Esau comes with. He comes with a consistent, irritating, tiresome pursuit, to come after us, to agitate us. And he's it's like it's never ending, right? It's just he just keeps on doing it and never lets up. He's an oppressive force. There's the word I was looking for. Esau is an oppressive force. He's irritating and tiresome. And an example of being tiresome, I want to use Daniel 7:25, and it says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, talking about Esau, Edom, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and the dividing of times, talking about us being in chattel slavery for 350 years, right? And how also about how Esau changed the times. The new year starts in January. No, it doesn't. It's the spring starts in March, man. That's the beginning of the new year. That makes perfect sense. But the devil says, no, the new year starts in January. And that's just a bunch of BS. But in his kingdom, that's what he seeks to do. He seeks to uproot righteousness. He seeks to change, deform, and terraform that which is natural. And that which is natural are all the things that the Most High has put in place, that have been here. And it is the way. But Esau seeks another way. He seeks a way of wickedness. And he's spoken all kinds of blasphemy against the Most High, right? And he shall wear out the saints, right? He's been consistent and persistent, and he's seeking to wear us out, right? And we're all tired, you know. We persist forward with what we got to do for Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahushai, right? But you know, we're wore out too. We're wore out physically. Our bodies are wore down from all the chemicals that we take in through the food that's poisoned, through the water, through the air that's poisoned, right? Even through the message that we constantly hear, the vexation of spirit when we go out into the marketplaces, right? And we got to do what we got to do, and we hear the conversation of people, or we see certain things, right, that are vexing to our spirit. These are all the things in this society that have a toll on us, spiritually and mentally and physically. And at times they wear you down, right? And that's what this devil is seeking to do, is to try to wear us down. Isaiah 14:6. He that smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, right? That persistentness, right? That infernal nature of Esau to continue to pound down and make things hard on us. He set up a society to where you're constantly under the affliction of this society. Constantly, you got to pay this bill. You know, you're always paying bills. You're working simply to have a place to stay. You know, and that is oppression. That is not living. You know, working every day, paying taxes, buying all this food that is poisoned, drinking this poisoned water. That is not living. And those are the conditions that we're under, and it's a continual, persistent, infernal thing that is happening to us, and it's irritating and it's tiresome, right? And again, those are things that are beyond our control, that we just go through on a day-to-day. Habakkuk 2:5, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, and is a proud man, and neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, right? So this is, I wanted to go into, I kind of spoke out of turn here, but what I wanted to do was go into the insatiable appetite of Esau Edom, because he has an insatiable appetite. That's not where I want to be right now, right? That from, so I'm just going to keep on going. I got my notes down here and I'm reading this thing, but anyway, let me get back to what I was doing here. We stopped at Isaiah 14:6. He smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, and he ruled the people. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindered. So eventually, you know, Esau Edom is going to be brought down low, you know, and he has ruled all the nations in anger and has persecuted all the nations, and it's been a consistent, persistent, tiresome, infernal energy and vibration that he's come with, you know, and he has an insatiable appetite to do it. That word satiable is the concordance word H1115, and it's pronounced bilby, you know, a continual, satiable of a need or desire, able to be met, right? That's what the word satiable means. But then Esau Edom has an insatiable desire, right? which is the opposite of that. A desire that cannot be satisfied, right? And that was the point that I was trying to make over here. He is as death and cannot be satisfied. Let me get that scripture real quick so I can stay on point here, because now I can't seem to find it. Is as death and cannot be satisfied. Oh, that was Habakkuk 2 and 5 that I read. Salakia. You know, going into Esau's insatiable appetite that he has. Let me find it real quick here. So, not that one, not that one. Infernal. Here it is. So yeah, I wanted to bring out the understanding of that word satiable again, which is of a need or desire, and it's able to be met, right? Satiable. But Esau is the opposite of that. He has an unsatiable appetite, which means he has a desire, right? He has a desire to do evil consistently and constantly, and it's beyond his control. He cannot do righteousness. All he can do is wickedness. That is beyond his control. Habakkuk 2 and 5, I'll just read it again. Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. This damn devil has got military bases in every country all over the world. And what is he trying to do? He's trying to enlarge his desire. His desire, and what is his desire? To have complete control of the earth in wickedness. But as hell. So he wants to increase his influence all over the earth and bring in hellish, oppressive conditions. One of the definitions of hell is oppression. The another definition is the ground. But in this sense, in this context, oppression, and is as death, the ways of death, right? So in him enlarging his desire to take over the whole world, everywhere he goes, he brings death. The things that he brings, the wines, the things that he sets up, it leads to your death. And cannot be satisfied. In other words, he would never stop. That's his programming. It's beyond his control to do anything else but bring in death. To be unsatisfied, to have an insatiable appetite, right? But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all peoples. And where has he done that? In Babylon. America. America is a place where all peoples live, right? And he wants to do that with his New World Order. He wants to bring all the nations under a one world government, right? And have a digital currency. So that's the insatiable appetite of this devil. That's what he does, and he can't stop doing it. It's beyond his control. Now, from there, I want to get another example of a constant irritant, continually annoying, or distraction, or a source of vexation. You know, which is what this devil is. Okay, I didn't actually put this one up here, so I'm just going to actually read this. And this is, actually, let's bring it up, man. Let's just bring it up. Hopefully, you know, this page will stay up. I got so many things open that sometimes this thing be crashing on me. But let's see if we can get this up. So the verse that I want to use is I want to use Isaiah 14, verses 5 and 6. KJV. Right? So let's go down here and get some understanding, and hopefully you will be edified by this. And I know I've been all over the place, and hopefully this is edifying to those who may hear this and make sense to them. Isaiah 14, verses 5 and 6. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. Now here's the point that I want to make about the constant, irritant, continually annoying distraction or the source of vexation on the earth. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, none hindereth. Right, okay. I read that one earlier. You know what? I actually wrote that verse down twice, but that's okay. So we've talked about scriptures that go into proving that the Most High is in control, and there are so many things that are beyond the control of men, you know, like where you were born, your origins, the choices that you ultimately make, right? The beginning of circumstances that you find yourself in, your destiny, your lot in life, right? The determined outcome. Who determines the outcomes? Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi. Who decides the number of days that you live? Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi. And there's a term that we like to use, in thy lot, right? So I want to get some more understanding on in thy lot. In thy lot, meaning in your portion or in your share, often used in religious or biblical context, suggesting a person, place, or destiny as determined by a higher power. As determined by a higher power. See? Out of one's control. Your lot is determined by the will of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi, and I want to bring out some information that will help us understand that that's the way it is. You know, Esau is wicked, and ain't a damn thing he can do to get out of it. You know, Yasharallah, the 12 tribes of Israel were created to be righteous. Okay, ultimately will receive the blessing, the second covenant, and of course the elect will receive that first, and then of course the 2/3 will come back in the kingdom through the loins of the 1/3, right? But that is the lot that they are going to receive, and it was predetermined by the higher power, which is Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi, and in other words, out of one's control, right? There's no such thing as free will. That is a damn lie. So let's start with, I think I got the verses out here. What is this? No, not Isaiah 14. Let's get that down. Let's go away from that. I wanted to start off. Did I want to start off with Daniel? Yeah. Let's start off with Daniel. No, wait a minute. I didn't want to start off with Daniel 12:1. I wanted to start off with Isaiah 17. Yeah. That's what I wanted to start off with. Salakia. Let me get this real quick, fam. I wanted to get, I didn't have it up here for some reason, but I'll get it up here. Isaiah 17, 13 and 14. KJV. Okay? And let's read this real quick. The nation shall rush like the rushing of many waters, right? They're going to come in with ferocity. But Yahawah, the power of heaven and earth, shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind. They're going to be helpless before the power of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi. It's beyond their control to resist the will and the might and the power and the strength of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi. And like a rolling thing before the whirlwind, you know, these mighty kingdoms, right, and their mighty armies are going to be like the chaff in a whirlwind, you know. That's how easily they're going to be manhandled by Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi, right? Actually, You know what? That reminds me of something I wanted to bring out. But anyway, let's go down to 14. And behold, at evening time, trouble. All right? And before the morning, he is not. You know? This is the portion of them that spoil us, spoil Yasharallah, who have afflicted the people of the Most High Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahushai, and the lot of them that rob us. See? Their portion, their lot. You know, they can't get out of it. This is the way it is. You know, it's beyond their control. So that's the point that I wanted to make with verse 13 in Isaiah 17. With verse 14, excuse me. Now let's get Daniel 12 and 13. It says, but go thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of days. Daniel being spoken to by an angel, explaining to him that in the last days that he would stand in his lot, right? And what is lot again? Let's get that. Can I write? I know I had it up here. In thy lot, right? Your portion, your destiny determined by a higher power. Something that is beyond your control, right? So the last verse that I want to get is Job 27 and 13, speaking about portions. This is the portion of a wicked man with the higher power, with Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahushai, and the heritage of oppressors, those who bring in hellish conditions, you know, those who smote the people in anger with a continual stroke, and then when he goes down, none's going to hinder him. Yeah, which they shall receive of the Almighty. Huh? Your portion that you're going to receive of the Almighty, something that's out of your control, because all you could produce was wickedness, because that was your lot. That was the way you were created, Esau, Edom. If his children be multiplied, it is for the sword. If his offspring shall not be and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread, those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widows shall not weep. You know, Esau Edom's women is not going to cry when you go down, devil. Okay? When we're in the kingdom and you devils are under our foot and you're receiving your just reward for all the wickedness that you've done, going all the way back to the Garden of Eden, because you got to pay for all those lifetimes, devil. You know, the straits that you find yourself in, when we visit you in the kingdom, huh? And you receive your judgment, the torments that you find yourself in, huh? When you're getting messed up, I wanted to say effed up, huh? When you're getting jacked up, you know, your woman, she's going to see it. She's not going to give a damn. She's not going to weep for you, homie. They're not weeping for you now on this side. They with Jake. A lot of them, not all of them, but shit. The Edomite woman, she want to be with Jake. She want to get down with Jake right now. How much more in the kingdom, devil? And his widows shall not weep for him. Right? So I want to stop there. I left a few things out, and you know, it could have flowed a little bit better, but the point was made. The point is that there are so many things that are beyond mankind's control, and that ultimately all creation is doing the will of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahushai on the right-hand side or the left-hand side, huh? Man, there's so many more, but that just brought me another precept, you know. The Most High, let me get that real quick. I should have brought it out earlier. I have it written down over here, so I got a lot of notes here. Salaki. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna stop there. I'm going to stop there, and you know, maybe in another lesson I can bring it out again. What I was going to go into, because I kind of lost my train of thought there at the end, because I wanted to bring that precept out earlier. But anyway, the point was made, beyond one's control, right? I hope this was edifying to the flock. I want to give all praises to Yahawah, Bahashim, Yahawah Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Again, this is Brother Micah Ah. And double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone who have taught me this truth, you know, and salutations to the hopeful elect who are pushing this truth all over the globe in righteousness and in sincerity. Shalom to all you brothers. Shalom.